Hi, my name is Christopher McWhite, and I am a building official in the state of Rhode Island in a town called Smithfield. My story didn't really begin here. It actually began in 1999, 4 states ago, in a little state in the Midwest called Indiana. I've actually been doing building and code enforcement since 1999 across 4 different states, including Indiana, Georgia, Virginia, and Massachusetts, and now Rhode Island. I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about some of the things that we do within ICC. What I do in ICC is with a membership council called the Building Membership Council. This is Building Safety Month, and every year International Code Council celebrates Building Safety Month. You may be wondering, what actually is Building Safety Month? Well, in short, it's an opportunity for us as building officials and zoning officials to speak to the communities that we work in and serve every day. It's a way for us to reach out and to create an awareness so that it's all of us working together to find our communities safer and to build better buildings. What Building Safety Month means to me is it's an opportunity for me to reach out to those people who may not understand exactly what it is that we as building officials even do. What we actually do is not just go around and tell people what to do as far as what the code book says. What we really do is we become partners with property owners, homeowners, and oftentimes tenants of different properties and help them to understand how to navigate some of the difficult to understand language that you might find within the codes. The whole idea is to, as a code official that I once worked for before said, he said that if we do our job, nothing happens. So how does that fit into Building Safety Month? Well, the membership council that I am a part of is called the Building Membership Council. Our entire focus is to help bring together to all the different aspects of International Code Council a way for us to work with each other to build up membership with ICC, both within and from without ICC. So how would that actually look? Well, let me give you an example. In the town that I'm in, we're going to be celebrating Building Safety Month. I'll be speaking with town council members, and with those town council members, my hope is that they'll be willing to issue a proclamation stating that Smithfield is on board with celebrating Building Safety Month, along with over 24,000 fellow building officials around the world. We're also going to be speaking with our local high school that has a career path program called CTE. What it does is it helps to prepare students for the real world, especially if they want to work in law enforcement or in other aspects of engineering. Believe it or not, what building officials actually do has a lot to do with law enforcement. Everything that we say and do comes directly out of a code which is promulgated from some legislative body that adopted these building codes. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's all fancy talk. We're basically saying that an elected official somewhere in the state said, I want to make sure our buildings are safer, and these building codes are a way to make it happen. And that's what we do every day. So what I want to do is to reach out to those students in the high school, talk with them, and see if there's a way that we can encourage them to participate in programs that ICC has, including Safety 2.0. Another thing I'm doing is we're going to be reaching out to the local scout troops, both Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts have had well over a century of dedication towards sustainability and conservation-minded activities. That lines up exactly with what the building codes are all about. Right now, one of the newest codes we have are in green construction technologies and with energy efficiency. And those codes line up almost perfectly with what Scouts look at every day. So I want to talk with them as well. Another area that I want to talk with are with the children of our community. Now, a lot of times people say, well, what can we possibly do as building officials with the children? Well, how about disaster preparedness? Now, we don't want to use words that would scare kids, but we do want to help them to feel empowered, feel a part of what they're doing in their own families. So we're going to talk with them about disaster preparedness. So we're actually going to talk with the kids about what they can do to be a part of their family and be a helper when it comes to disaster preparedness. We don't want to scare the kids with that. So here's what we're thinking about doing. We're going to actually issue a little flyer that ICC has produced, and the flyer talks about preparing an emergency kit: batteries, flashlights, blankets, water, maybe a little food, and some cash money. Those are things that are actually not only in Scouting, but also in Building Safety Month and in the program that deals with training the next generation. Training the next generation is actually week number 2 in Building Safety Month, and it's really important because what we all know is that we need to continue to always have fresh blood coming into this industry, into this career path, into this world. Building homes and building structures requires people who are dedicated to their craft and people who are dedicated to life safety and dedicated also to making sure that they do the best they possibly can. And I believe that if we speak to the youngest among us, as people have said before, you train up a child in the way. When they get old, they might not depart from it. If we train up youths about how to be better craftspeople rather than just installers, if we involve people in the understanding of what it really means to swing a hammer, pull some wire, or lay some pipe in the house, those kinds of things can feed them for the lifetime. But what else are we looking to do? Well, we're also looking to maintain and build relationships with green construction and advisory councils. So here in Rhode Island, we actually have the Green Building Advisory Committee. They meet every month and they talk about ways that they can continue to highlight and lift up the conversation speaking about green technologies and green construction. Now, green construction, you've heard that talked about a lot, but all it really means is it's just another way, a more fundamental way, a more holistic way of finding a way to make our homes and our businesses sustainable, efficient, and resilient. I'd also like to take a couple of minutes to talk with you about some of the things that I believe are important when it comes to doing building code enforcement. Now, what I don't like to do is what's called building code enforcement. What I like to do actually is seeking compliance. What I don't like to do is to find workarounds. What I like to do is to find solutions. And I believe that most people want to do the right thing. They just need to know what the right thing is. And the challenge that we as building officials oftentimes find ourselves in is somebody who has been doing it one way or another for so long, and they've never been talked with about a better way or perhaps a different way of thinking about what they're doing. Let me give you an example. There was an inspection that I went on one time that was focusing on the construction of an apartment building for students. Well, that installer was putting insulation in the walls, and he said that he just needed to know what I wanted him to do. I told him that it didn't really matter what I want him to do, because if I tell him what to do, he wouldn't learn anything, and that was not my goal. My goal was to educate him in what I'm looking for, so that he would learn what I'm looking for and every other building official is looking for, so he'd never just say, I did what the inspector told me to do. He would be saying, I'm doing what the code asks for. Not because somebody told me to do it, but because he understands why it has to be done. That's the key to good code enforcement, going from enforcement into compliance, because when you understand the whys, the hows become much easier. Another area in building code that I think we need to talk about a little bit more is making sure that we speak to different communities that may not have been communicated before in the past. I'd like to take another minute to talk a little bit about building code compliance and different communities that are served by these building codes. One of the most important things that I believe we can do is to talk to people who oftentimes may not have been spoken to with or about what they can do within the building codes. What I'm speaking about are women and minorities who work in this industry every day. A lot of times when there's conversations about code and talking about design and contracting and specially skilled people who we call craftspeople, women and minorities are not always the first to come to mind. I believe that they should be spoken to specifically because they can absolutely add to the conversation. And in fact, they should have not just a seat at the table, but they should have a voice at the table as well. That's why I'm making it a special point in Smithfield, Rhode Island, to speak to the Rhode Island chapter of Women in Construction. In Virginia, they had WICED, Women in Construction, Engineering, and Design. Here, we have a chapter that is actually celebrating its 60th year of existence this year. It's Rhode Island chapter number 1. I want to make sure that organizations like that, who support things like Rosie's Girls and other programs to bring women into the field of construction, whether it be swinging hammers or pulling wire, I want to make sure that they are not only recognized, but feel welcome and they are heard when they come to my office for a building permit. My motto is this: respect every person and see what I can do to serve them. So that's basically what we want to do here in Rhode Island as a whole. For my part, I've explained to you the things we want to do. How about you?
Join us tomorrow for another edition in the Sustainability Membership Council's Building Safety Month video series, Saving the World, One Building at a Time.